All right, so today I want to talk a little bit more about gun control. It's very important in times like this to put some truth out there when it comes to gun control because there's um, so little of that put out in Canada these days. So I wanted to talk about this story today, or I guess numbers, and it's from Bolbin Ramsey, and he quotes I believe that's Stats Canada there. Yeah, it is Stats Canada. And he adds it up. Firearms made up 0.25% of all premature deaths in 2017. A quarter of a percent. Firearms as a whole present a minuscule threat to society. Legal firearms even less so. Leave law-abiding gun owners alone. Now again, this is the problem with the anti-gunners, is that they claim, oh, we care about saving lives and all this garbage, but yet the areas that they decide to go and save lives for are the areas that kill like the least amount of people, like the least amount of people. They're willing to spend billions and billions of dollars to implement gun control that will at most have a single digit effect on the murder rate, or single digit percentage. And that's on a good day. That's on a good day because we already know that around 90%, give or take, depending on who you ask, um, of guns used in crimes are already illegal. Therefore, an outright gun ban would have at most maybe a 5% effect on crime. And the problem is that the left are like, oh yeah, even if we could save one life, it's worth it. The problem is that would cost billions and billions of dollars, and that would be a conservative estimate. And for the reason for that is that, well, I mean, the reason is that the only way that they would be able to make it feasible is a gun buyback, and that would cost an insane amount of money. A lot of people wouldn't turn their guns in anyway, and the other problem with that is that people that would just increase the drive of the people that commit crimes with legally obtained guns. That would just drive the black market for illegal guns up even more, which means you may not even have an effect whatsoever. So that's the problem. And again, I've literally made videos with police chiefs saying that gun bans will have no effect on crime. These are the people that literally are pretty much the country's most foremost experts. These are the people that see this kind of stuff on a daily basis, and when they're saying that it'll have no effect on crime, again, there's nothing that will get these people to change their minds. And that begs the question, okay, well, why do they want gun control? Well, they want gun control because they want socialism, which usually ends up leading to, and probably will end up leading to, communism. And okay, well, why do they need that? Is you can't have a socialist and especially a communist system and have an armed citizenry, because the only way that you can make a socialist, especially a communist system, work is massive amounts of atrocity, unfairness, unethical, just crazy stuff that goes on in these kind of countries. And the only way that you can do it is if the state has a monopoly on the use of force. And it really makes me laugh about the left that they support the state having as big of a monopoly as they possibly can have on the use of force, and yet they're shocked and appalled when they turn around and abuse that. I mean, with all these cops, I mean, a lot of them, they're not actually in the wrong. Some cops definitely are abusing their power, definitely deserve to be punished. But again, these leftists are so stupid, it's not even funny. Like, it's not even funny how stupid they can be, because you guys are the ones that's, and most of them, again, the overwhelming majority of people watching this probably don't fall into this category, but the leftists are the people that supported the big, massive, giant state that has a massive monopoly on force, and yet they're shocked and appalled when they abuse that power. Again, it's almost like they have no understanding of history and of basic human psychology whatsoever. It's literally like they have no understanding whatsoever. Now, the reason why they believe that is that they think that, oh, if we could just have our communist and socialist utopia, everything would be fine. But again, they don't understand basic reality. So to get back to the main point here, yeah, gun bans make no sense whatsoever. All the numbers back that up. All the numbers back that up. Every argument that the left comes up with has been thoroughly debunked. And like I say, they always end up retreating to, again, which is just a flat out admission that their arguments make no sense. Whenever you hear the leftists make the argument of, oh, you have to admit that if we ban guns, it would make some difference. Okay, but what they're saying by making that argument, or another common one is that if it'll just save one life argument. The argument they're making by saying that is that gun control would have little or would have next to no effect, because if gun control actually did have a significant effect, they wouldn't have to make that argument. They wouldn't have to make that argument, and that's the problem too. Is that gun control only makes sense if it has a significant effect on crime, which it doesn't. All these stats back that up. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And the reason they want that too is that, number one, they don't have an appreciation of being able to defend yourself. They're people that they have no understanding of history. They have no understanding of looking back in history how valuable it was, or how valuable it would have been to have been in one of these groups of people, the Jews, for example. Just imagine if they would have been very well armed. Well, yeah, they probably would have been. I mean, they at least would have had a fight. Yeah, maybe they say, oh yeah, they still would have been outnumbered by the Nazis. Well, who cares? That's not what it's about. The evidence clearly points out that even just the effect of being armed is a deterrent. Is a deterrent. Again, look at these rallies of the gun owners that go and protest. Do the cops ever abuse them? No, they don't, because they're armed. The cops always abuse the people who are unarmed and who are abusing other people usually. The problem with the leftists is that they come and they get violent, and yet they're shocked and appalled that violence is used against them. The gun owners come, like in Michigan, perfectly peaceful, and yet you have all these people calling, oh, they're terrorists, all this government. No, they're not terrorists. They broke no laws. They are peacefully protesting. And yet, again, these are the same people that turn around the next week and say violent protesting is perfectly justified. Like, how stupid can you possibly be? One week it's not okay to peacefully protest. The next week it's okay to violently protest. Like, my God, some of these people are stupid. It's not even funny. So I know I've kind of been jumping around topic to topic here. There's just a lot of stuff on my mind. But yeah, firearms, again, gun bans make no sense whatsoever. If you actually want to save lives, that money would be much better well spent to educate people on eating healthier, on educating people on raising their kids better, on not abusing their kids, on not abusing spouses, on all that kind of stuff, because that's what is actually killing a lot of people. Medical errors as well. That's another big one that even in the States, medical errors kill like 10 times the amount of people as firearms do. So if we could just basic doctors giving the wrong prescription, that kind of stuff, that kills an incredibly higher amount of people than guns do. But yet, where are all the people talking about putting money towards that? Again, they don't care about saving lives. They just care about fulfilling their paranoia because they think guns are bad, because they've probably never seen one in their life. They've never been out of the city. They have no reason why anybody would legitimately want to own a gun, which there's plenty of reasons. But because they're in such a bubble, they just don't get it. So the last thing I wanted to mention here is from Richard Boone. Now, he links to a CBC story, and it basically says the Toronto Police Service is set to buy at least 50 C8 carbine assault rifles. Repeat after me: to kill as many people as possible in as little amount of time. Bill Blair and Justin Trudeau. Now, again, I don't know if they're actually getting C8s, because C8s are literally assault rifles because they have the ability to shoot full auto. They may just be AR-15s, which aren't actually assault rifles. So I'm not sure. This is a problem. The problem is that you have CBC saying military-style assault rifles, which God only, again, they think that the Mini 14 and pump-action shotguns are military style. So I don't actually know which one they're getting. I would hope that they're not full autos, because a lot of those guns end up stolen. Police are notoriously bad, and I think a lot of it too is just people that hate the police and break into their cars and steal their stuff. But they're notoriously bad for getting their stuff stolen. So, and it's probably not I mean, not that the people in Toronto don't already have enough guns, the criminals, but the point being, I guess, is You know, if the police need these guns, then why do the police need these guns if the gun bans work? This is the problem with the whole gun bans, is that if this gun ban they're putting in works, then why do the police need the gun? The only way that the police would need these guns is if there's plenty of people on the streets that have them. The problem is that it's already highly illegal to have fully automatic guns. It's already highly illegal to have a gun out in public, a loaded gun out in public, especially a restricted firearm. So the reason that they need these guns is that the illegal gun problem is increasingly becoming an issue, and therefore the police need to be as equally well armed as these criminals are. So that's why they need them. And this is the problem, that the thing I would point out is that this is just an admission that the current gun control, let alone the new gun control laws, is not effective. It's not effective whatsoever, for the simple reason that if it was effective, the police wouldn't need these guns. The police would not need either semi-auto or full auto guns. Either way, they wouldn't need them if the gun control was effective, because the only way that the police need these guns um, is to be as well armed as the criminals that they're going up against. That's the only reason that they would need it. So that's the thing that I would point out. So, and that's the other thing too, is that it completely contradicts the whole kill as many people as possible in the little amount of time. Again, that argument is stupid. That the argument is stupid because if these guns are so effective at killing massive amounts of people, then why is the AR-15, at least from what I've seen, not been used by a legal gun owner in Canadian history to kill someone, let alone in a mass shooting, let alone in a mass shooting? And that's the problem too, that the only way their argument makes sense is if these guns are being used left, right, and center to commit mass shootings. And that's just not the case, not even in the States. Still, not even in the States. Again, the reason why people think it's such a bad issue in the States is that whenever there's a mass shooting, the mainstream media talks about it it's the biggest story in the news for weeks. That's the reason why people think that it's such a big issue in the States. Mass shootings still, even in the States, account for a very low percentage of their overall homicides. The vast majority of their homicides are still gang related, drug trade. Again, usually their drug trade and gangs are intertwined, but they're still massively, and even the majority of their mass shootings are still gang related as well, I believe. The classic drive-by shooting where you kill 3, 4, 5 people. A lot of times they survive, but still, the majority of them are still, I don't even believe, are like that. And one of the main reasons why mass shootings have gotten to the point where they are, too, is that, and psychology clearly bears this out, that when the mainstream media reports on it and gives these people so much fame and talks about it so much, is that um, it drives more people to do it. It's a very common thing also, and that when you see someone commit suicide in one way in a highly publicized event, you will see more people commit suicide in that exact way. In that exact way, and two, the stats clearly bear that out. So if you want to end mass shootings, I mean, number one, concealed carry. The numbers clearly bear that out, that concealed carry lowers murder rates. It lowers the propensity of mass shootings. And one of the reasons too is that the mainstream media doesn't talk nearly as much about the potential mass shootings that are stopped by concealed permit holders. There was one at a mall in Oregon I've heard of. The Sutherland Springs shooting was stopped by a guy with an AR-15. I believe the guy still killed quite a few people, but he stopped it partway through. So again, there's plenty of mass shootings that have been stopped, or potential mass shootings. There was one at a church in Colorado where a guy came in and shot the first couple of people he seen. Um, and I believe one of I don't know what the council people, one of the people at the church had a concealed carry permit. He pulled out his gun, shot the guy. There was the other one at the church in Texas where this was the one on video. You could literally go see this one on video if you remember. It was about a year or two ago, I think. And the guy came in, he fired off a couple shots, 2 or 3 shots. He injured someone, and a guy at the back shot the guy. And not only that, if you look at the video, you can see like 4 or 5 people that had their guns drawn on this guy. And the reason why the guy who ended up killing him was an NRA certified instructor. So all the people that rag on, oh yeah, you carry your gun, you're never going to, again, this stuff happens all the time. The studies clearly bear out that as many violent crimes are um, prevented by firearms than are committed by firearms. So the idea of banning guns doesn't make any sense. So, and that's the point too, is that the guy was literally an NRA certified instructor. That if the fact that people have concealed carry permits, the fact that people are trained, just shows that yeah, this kind of stuff is stopped all the time. Now again, Canada, mass shootings aren't really a problem here. We have like one every handful of years. Um, we haven't had it. I mean, we had the one. We have one like every 5 years, if that. And the last one, the guy killed almost half his victims by like burning them inside their house. So um, there's plenty of ways of killing people. The guy in France killed like 90 people by running them over. So the idea that you need a gun to do this kind of stuff, not true whatsoever. Not true whatsoever. And again, I don't want to get too much into the stats. I've already talked too much in this video. The main point of this little part being is that um, if the government needs these guns, then why the government shouldn't need these guns basically if the citizenry doesn't have them. If the citizenry has them, if the citizenry has them, the government should need them. If the citizenry doesn't have them, i.e. gun ban, then the government shouldn't need them. So anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. If you'd like to make sure that like and subscribe, check out my PayPal and email. I got a link in the description. Check out my Twitter. Check out my PayPal, or sorry, my BitChute. All the links are in the description, so you can find them all there.